Hello and welcome to the Faith Building Podcast, episode 14. And today we have an interesting topic. It's self-talk and auto-suggestion. And if we want to go back to the last episode 13 for a second, it was about are you doing things? And this brings me to my experience from, I would say, 1 week ago. Whenever I looked into the mirror during the last couple of months, I thought, my hair is not getting more. And if I see pictures of myself taken from the back, I can see, oh, it's getting less and less on the back. So solution one is I can let my hair grow, which I eventually don't really like. So I digged into the topic of hair transplantation for a while, and I checked it could be done in Turkey or maybe in Egypt. So I thought maybe I can combine it with one of our dolphin snorkeling trips in Egypt, but I really did not find anything. So I looked into it. I was getting knowledge, but I was not doing the next step. So during our last cruise a week ago, we met another guest artist, and he looked amazing. Brilliant hair, a cool guy. And at one point he shared with us, I got hair transplantation. I looked at him and he said, yeah, it's affordable. He gave me an address. It's in Germany and it's bearable. He said after a couple days or even weeks, it looks perfect. He got his done not even, I think, 10 or 11 months. It was done and it looked perfect. So I decided, this sign by the universe is a great thing and I should just follow through and do the next step. So I signed up to do it in May. And now you might wonder, what has this to do with self-talk? Everything. Because whenever you realize something in your life that you don't like, the things we like we can touch, but they are perfect. So we rather look at the things we don't like. Are you really taking action? Or are you totally avoiding the signs you get from the outside, from the universe that gives you the opportunity to go to the next level? And you can do things like auto-suggestion and other beautiful things we talk about today to get you to the point to really follow through, to build up your self-image, and actually, if we want to touch episode 13 again, to really get into the doing rather than just the knowing. What do you think, Vladi?
I love what you just said because, funnily enough, we have these talks with our eyes with girls. do we
Really?
do we cut these so they look younger? And like it's funny because I was like, I'm never having anything done on myself. Like I'm gonna age old, and like this is a really interesting topic because I think this is a topic on every single person's mind. Every single person, I'm not going to talk about the 20-year-olds, but let's talk about 30 plus, and I say definitely 40 plus. We all look at things like, oh, it needs some work. It just never had to be touched before. It was just fine, and it just needs more exercising. We need to eat healthier. We need to look after ourselves more to look the way we looked when we were 20, perhaps. However, even that, sometimes it's not even that, because when I was 20, I think I looked better in my 30s than 20s. So, it really is individual. But I love what Norman said, because that is so profound. And don't lie to yourself when you say, I don't need this done. Because if that thing keeps popping up into your mind every single time you see, let's say, someone with more hair, or someone with more poppy eyes, or someone with, like whatever it is, you're putting so much focus on the things that we don't like about ourselves. We never spend enough time. This is actually a good example of manifestation, because we could say every day, oh, thanks God for the eyes because I can see. And that's okay. I never have to do anything with my eyes because I make that statement. But the thing is, you have to come to peace, to inner peace with yourself. If you make the decision that you want to have it done, go for it and take action. Because I really think that there are things in the world that are made for us now. Like Norman's saying, he was looking up, funnily enough, I just got back from Turkey and they were providing all these all these treatments out there. And my husband was like, see, that's why all of our British people fly out here to have it done outside. The teeth, somebody is not happy with their teeth. And I have a friend who had the whole mouth changed with the teeth. And my other friend said, well, I would never do it. But really, aren't we a little bit selfish? Because we say that only when we don't have that problem. You know, my teeth were amazing all the time and never had any sort of straight, fine. So I always make a statement, oh, I would never have done anything with the teeth, but we would. Because what is that thing that comes into your mind? You're suggesting it. And we're coming to our topic. Your self-talk is you're accepting it. If you don't like it, every time somebody passes by with something that you would love to have, it creates that emotion. It even doesn't have to go into self-talk as such, but it's subconsciously in you and you're connecting to it. It's the energy you feel and it's the vibration that changes because you know that you would love to have it different. You would love to have more. What is auto-suggestion? Auto means self. Suggestion, it's the most powerful force. What I've discovered when I studied this by a few masters actually, but this amazing guy on a TEDx talk, and I do not have his name because it was a while ago, but I remember he was giving an example that when we as a speaker, so what we're doing right here, we're running the podcast, we're suggesting something to you. You can reject it or accept any information we give you. You use your conscious mind to actually reject it. Now, your subconscious mind doesn't have the rejection point, so it accepts everything you give it. So what usually happens, auto-suggestion, you could almost say it's a hypnosis state. So imagine you go to theater and you're watching this game or ballet, and if you're really into the story, and you're feeling it, you know, you can get emotional, you're almost in hypnosis, meaning you're auto-suggesting what they're giving you. The actors are playing their parts and they suggesting you something with the story, but it's us who makes the decision to auto-suggest it to ourselves. It's the way we actually accept the story, and every one of us will auto-suggest that story differently. So if I told you right now, close your eyes, obviously if you're driving, please don't do that, or doing anything dangerous, don't. But if you close your eyes and I'm gonna tell you, okay, now imagine there is a little girl with the long curly blonde hair walking towards her. Her eyes are blue and she's got this amazing smile on her face and a red dress and walking towards you. Every single one of you, I'm just suggesting this to you, but you all suggesting to yourself the picture, the image of the girl. And if we could project this image right now, each of you, and we would compare them, that would be different. Because every one of you, through the experiences and everything in your life, would create something else. And this guy on a TEDx said this. He said, teachers, speakers are suggesting things. So we're speaking through suggestion. The students, on the other hand, the listeners, are auto-suggesting. So that's the difference. Nobody else can auto-suggest anything but you. There is a great book by Emile Coué, which is called Self-Mastery Through Conscious Auto-Suggestion. If you're really interested about the topic, then that is really a book to go to study. I'd like to just say final before I hand it to Norman and he can tell you more about self-talk. Auto-suggestion is very closely linked with two higher mental faculties, and it's imagination, which sits in your subconscious mind. So it's kind of like really something that's why we just done the picture of the girl, because you're imagining it. You're actually exercising your imagination. And the other one is will, which is your will to choose how you want to do things. It's your will, which is actually in that conscious mind, in that part which rejects and accepts, which is only between 4 and 6% of the time we use conscious mind. So think about 95% of the day, things you do and how you make decisions are done by your programming. And this programming was mostly created in the first 7 years of our life, and the stuff we actually accepted. And obviously we're changing this as we grow, if we choose to grow. And some people never change theirs. Like you can actually go through the whole life and never change that. But the self-talk is the most powerful talk you have. And the last question I leave you with and hand it to Norm is, are you talking yourself the same way you would talk to the person you love? Imagine a people or your kids or a partner or whoever you like, your friends, people you love, the way you talk to them, you're always going to be kind and respectful and encouraging and telling them how amazing they are. Are you actually talking to yourself the same way? Because I can put my hand up. I usually speak definitely better to other people than myself. But, like through this personal development, I can say that it has changed a lot. I've started talking to myself differently, and that's where everything changed, really.
I do too. I really mastered that, the self-talk, that I speak
Mm.
very highly about myself or think highly about myself. And if something goes wrong, I just laugh about it and don't blame myself or hit myself. I really, really agree with that, Vladi. And the auto suggestion things you just mentioned, I really love the faith building podcast because even we can learn something. I never heard about that before. And while you ask us to close our eyes and imagine the little girl with the red dress, like you wearing a red dress today, and you're saying that everybody would have a different little girl the way she looks if we could kind of project the thoughts on the outside. This brought me back to the fact that our brain thinks in pictures, which means Vladi used words. Close your eyes, you see a little girl, and the thing you saw is you probably saw a little girl. It could be, if you're a girl, a blonde girl with blue eyes, it could be yourself. It could be a little girl from a movie you saw, a girl you imagined. Your brain has to pull some ideas out of the reality, in my case, that I had the last 47 years. If I would be on a lonely island, I could not picture a small girl with blonde hairs. Because if there's only me on the deserted island, I would have no idea what a little girl looks like. Which means if you don't have a picture in your mind for the words that you say or others say, you have no action following the picture. Which means if you have a goal and you cannot draw it or paint it, because you say, I don't know what I should draw, and I want to be rich. Yeah, then draw a picture, how this would look like. I don't know what I should draw. Yeah, your brain has no picture, which means your body, which acts on the thought, on the pictures, like the brain gives a clear direction and says, now go, or go the other way, based on the picture. If you cannot draw your big goal, you will never be able to reach it because your brain has no clear picture of what it should achieve. And this, I think, is a very interesting thing to think about. Do you have a clear picture about yourself in the future? Like if I think about Anke and myself, we see each other on two lovely sun chairs, watching the ocean with a beautiful villa in our background on a beautiful beach with a lot of sunshine and amazing people around us. That's the final picture at the age of, I don't know when, but that's the final picture. So if we have that picture in mind, we can auto suggest ourselves about everything that happens in our lives, what we do about it. Because like Vladi shared, what I learned today, whatever we say is a suggestion, but what you do is auto suggestion, if I remember it correctly, which means your brain kind of uses the ideas you have about the world and about yourself and puts it in conclusion to what you hear or what you see or what you feel or taste or smell, which means everybody gets a different reality out of our podcast. And this is where the power of movies or even songs is kind of hidden for the regular people. But me as a professional speaker and three-time European champion in public speaking, I know that every story that I tell has purpose. And it's not about the story. If you think, why are they talking about themselves so often? I don't care about them. Just give me the information. The only reason why we talk about ourselves is because the story we tell has a structure behind it. And that's really pro-level stuff when you want to go into speaking. You don't actually look at the story itself. You look at the structure and say, what do I want to bring along? Do I want to use a regular movie structure like good versus evil, and at the end, good wins?
Mm-hmm.
Or if you put Star Wars on top, or Indiana Jones, or whatever you want to name it, it doesn't matter. It's just about the interest of the viewer. The question is, what's the structure that's being driven into your subconscious mind that you should learn about? And therefore, people that are not aware tell you very, very bad things where you think, you know what the structure is of the thing that you just mentioned, what the other person should learn. And if you listen to many songs out there, especially if I remember correctly, like country songs, they are very often so sad, and she left him or he left her. And what's the structure of the song basically? You're better off by yourself because you get dumped all the time. Life is not fair, life is hard. The structure of the song and the words, the lyrics on top is that it's better to stay on your own. And the question is if this really helps, because as we had also in the last episode, it's all about people and other people. We learn the most things through other people. And actually, who wants to stay alone on the deserted island? We all want to be in relationships and happy relationships. But the whole music industry pushes us in this direction through the structure behind the song, that we learn that it's much better to be on our own. And if you look at the divorce rates and how many people are alone and try to find someone but don't, could it be that the songs and stuff have to do something with it? And now you might say, that's a random idea, never thought about it. I know of a guy who worked for a very, very big major band, and he wrote songs especially in this topic to really kind of depress the people from the structure of the song. So there's a system behind it, behind every movie, behind every song. And if you think, the world is here to auto-suggest my own brain beautiful things, no, it's here to do the opposite. So you have to be very aware of what you let in, because what you let in, you cannot get out again. Like Vladi shared, 95% of your time, your subconscious mind is running the show. And your subconscious mind is on 24 hours, 7 days a week. Your conscious mind is asleep when you sleep. But your subconscious is open. So everything that comes to you, even the radio that plays the news 5 times an hour or 5 times a day, and you don't really consciously listen to it, but it's playing, your subconscious gets all of that. So just be very, very aware and focus on the things that you want to have more of. Watch those things, listen to those things, meet with people that bring you into that direction. Otherwise, yeah, it might destroy you because your life depends on it.
I love what you were just talking about, because that blends into autosuggestion into news. You know, like, you guys, if you want to be living the life you would love, don't pay attention to, well, firstly, news, because news, and like Norman said, he's talking about music, but I, as a mom of 2, you put on a TV, you look at the Netflix or well, pretty much Netflix and some of the others like Amazon, and they all have movies on killing. What is the message we are giving? Killing, violence, everybody's fighting, and we're teaching the new generations that it's okay to use a force and violence and aggressivity and anger to deal with something. So what we're teaching them is to react instead of respond. And we're here talking about autosuggestion. How are you going to make yourself a better picture of yourself? You have to really control your mind. And the news and the media and the songs, that is the purpose for most of it. And I'm not going to put everybody in the same sack, but really, I remember one of the guys saying, when I said to them, why are all these movies being created? And I'm talking guys who are in a British movie production, because my friend is an actress, and she actually is a voice for my first fairy tale. And she said, the guy said to them, that's what you guys demand. And when you think about that, is it? Well, yes, it probably is, because there is nothing else we watch, and we already are in a habit and continuance repetition of watching something that is violence. However, do we not get out there the guys who actually choose to do the good, who actually say, I'm going to be the one who chooses to create a movie with God and sends a different message? Yeah, maybe it will have much less, it probably most likely would have less views. But for example, for me, every time I want to feel good, I go and watch the movie Facing the Giants. I think it's one of the best made movies and I know that when they were making it, they had the low budgets, but these are excuses. For you to stay in control and control your mind, create a picture of yourself, how you would love it. But auto-suggestion, hypnosis, is if you're listening to what's happening in the world, it almost feels like we're going to die tomorrow sometimes. You know, you put the news on and you see the war and nuclear, what's going on in there. You're not going to change anything because we have to change it from focusing on ourselves. Who would I love to be? You have to make a decision to be the best version of yourself. And what is it you would love to do? And what is the talk you're having? Like when you wake up in the morning, are you actually automatically going into, oh, another day, it's Wednesday? You know, like the thoughts we have in our mind, we already predetermine the day. And we make assumptions based on what is usually happening, but it's just a pattern rolling over. If you want to stop that, just say, okay, I'm going to, what is it I would love to do? How would I love to look? And I love how Norman started this, is the action. Take action. If you're not happy with the way you're healthy and when you're exercising, stop saying, well, I don't like myself, I don't like good. Go and start doing something about it. If you don't daily choose an activity that will help you, if it's exercising 10 minutes, guys, do 10 minutes. It's really fine to be just 10 minutes, but be consistent and don't make a day. If it's make a decision to eat, like I really focus on your healthy body, because if we're not healthy, you can be, like we talked about previous episode, the wisdom you have and all the studies, the mind is not going to live in unhealthy body. You need to really produce the healthy shell, or what shall we say, a healthy shell for the manifestations. But really, take action on the things you're not happy with. Look down, but be easy on yourself. It doesn't matter, you know, it is what it is, but you now are aware of it. And what are you going to do about it? What are you saying to yourself every morning? Say, good morning, beautiful, you know, like just pass the mirror and say, I remember the mirror work when we started, and Norman knows about it. It's like you say, I love you to yourself each eye, because you cannot actually look at both eyes at the same time. So you look in the left eye and say 7 times I love you. And then you move to your right eye and say 7 times I love you. I did not like this exercise years ago. It was really weird. Like, I thought it's selfish to be saying to myself I love you, but really selfish is to think that, because self-love is the core of everyone. And remember what we talked before, we cannot give what we don't have. If you don't love yourself, you can't actually love others on the higher energy level. I'm not saying we think, and you know, I always told her that's not true. I actually did not believe that was true. I would even argue with people that is, I'm giving so much love and attention to other people, but you're draining yourself. So in a long term, you're actually affecting those people around you, because you are not that happy, sunshine, functioning and being the happy yourself. So it really is important the way you talk yourself. You have to have intention. Wake up and have intention. This is going to be the best day of my life. And walk through it with liking yourself, loving yourself, praising yourself for little things. Say, I'm so good, I've managed to do this. What we do, we criticize ourselves so much during the day. You do 100 things and you get upset that, oh, but I wanted to do 120. How about being happy that I did the best I could? And can I do better? Always. We can always do better. But there are days when you just want to sit down and watch TV and relax. It's fine. It's just do that. But just be yourself always. Like, focus on happy people, happy energy, and don't spend time and energy on things that are really going to drag you down. Listening to news, Norman's probably on the same price, because we usually, when we work with clients, the first request is actually people have to come off the news for a month. No, and people have this fear in their eyes when I say that, like, I'm hiring you as a coach and you want me to, like, not buy a newspaper and watch a news and scroll down the phone. I said, that's exactly what and people have this panic face expression, like I'm not going to know what's happening in the world. I said, you know what? I haven't watched news and listened to news and read newspapers for many years. I'm talking 10 plus years, probably 20 actually. And it's not doing me any harm. In fact, I feel very happy about what's happening. And maybe sometimes people think you're too optimistic. Like, how can you be happy with everything that's happening in the world? What's happening in the world is what we create. If we give energy to happiness and we give energy that everything's fine, everything actually will be fine. And I'm going to finish with that and hand it to Norm.
I totally agree. I think since 10 or 12 years, I'm off the news, and it was a big fear in the beginning, like you just shared. And when you realize that the whole news structure has nothing to do with the life that you have in this very moment, then your life gets more easy. Then some people might say, like in Germany, we just had elections, but the elections will have an influence on my life. On this life I have right now, in this room I have, in the microphone I speak, in the person I speak to right now, whatever the officials do or not do has no effect on this very second I'm in. On the bigger picture, maybe, but if I don't like the bigger picture, then I move my beautiful ass and go to another country. You know, it's, can you get out of the victim mentality? And probably we can speak about the 4 mentalities that people have or can go through the next time in episode 15. And I just want to close with the quote that you shared, the I love you quote in regards to, can you say it to yourself in the mirror? I thought, what a ridiculous and stupid task that is when I heard it, but still, as I'm coachable, I followed through. So I went into the bathroom mirror and I started saying, what was my line? I love you. Okay. Smile. I could not do that for many, many minutes. I stood there, then I had to laugh about myself, then I almost cried about myself, that it was so challenging telling yourself staring yourself in the eye and telling yourself, I love you. Or you can say, I love me. It's the same thing as you look at yourself. Just try that. Because if you have a self-image that does not allow self-love, that you really love yourself, it will not change anything. You're so addicted to things on the outside. And like we shared about the movies and Netflix, what Vladi shared about the kids and the violence. I never watched, I think it's called Squid Games, but it's so popular that they were fearful that the servers will go down the moment the new season is coming on, because so many people wanted to watch it. That's the focus on one side. But as Vladi said, where do you put your focus on? I know that Dr. Joe Dispenza, that we all love, is in Switzerland right now. He has a 3-day event, and this was sold out, I think, with 8,000 people roughly after 1 or 2 hours. So he decided to do another 3-day event. So within 6 days, he pushes through 16 to 16,500 people and get them into a mindset that's totally different. And from one point of view, this looks amazing. I thought yesterday, wow, 16,500 people in 6 days with our new knowledge. That's amazing. Now, if you compare it to the Netflix click rates, 16,000 is nothing at all. The good thing is we get more and more and more every day. So it's just a question of time until we have a more proper balance of having more focus on the good things that we really like. And it all starts with your self-image. So get rid of all the stuff that keeps you away from being yourself and your highest truth, and focus more on the things that you really, really love. Why? Because again, like in episode 13, your life could depend on it. And to close with a beautiful saying from our favorite author, Neil Donald Walsh, he usually says at the end, and I might be wrong about all of this, but I don't think so. And with this idea, we will leave you, and we will see you again in episode 15 of the Faith Building Podcast. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.
Have a great week.